Welcome to the January 19th, year of our Lord, 2026, Zooch and Wilde podcast. We are hours away from the national championship game taking place in Miami, the Miami Hurricanes versus the Indiana Hoosiers. We are going to get into that. Zooch, it's the last day of the season, man. It's blink of, I know we say it every year, but it's a blink of an eye every time. It truly is a blink of an eye every time.
Next year it's not until God, the minimum ticket is $3,534 right now. Next year, the national title's not until like January 28th.
It's getting too long. It is. I think we are at the point now. I mean, we're going to talk about the game and get into the nitty gritty in a little bit, but just the season feels too long. If it feels too long, is the fix making week 0, week 1? I think that's the only fix, and then maybe like not waiting a month between bowl games. But like I don't know. I think the only fix is like moving the season up.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, like that is so late. January 25th is when it is next year. So when are the other games?
I mean, that's
I
like
don't
what
have those scheduled yet.
I mean,
yeah,
yes, like the championship game is what, first week of December. I mean, that's like a month later than what the national championship was a decade ago.
I didn't mind it as much when I was on like the 7th or the 8th. I was like, oh, that's like I kind of get that, like, but yeah, that's just. I mean, Jesus, next year I guess it'll be. That's like the day after, I'm assuming, like the AFC and NFC championship games, Monday the 25th.
Yeah, like it really is, like, because the Super Bowl's on the 6th this year. It's like the first weekend of February, so it's like I don't know. I mean, we can also get into the discussion about like why the hell is the Natty on a Monday? I mean, college sports are weird like that, and I totally get the argument where it's like, hey, like NFL, like playoffs are all weekend, dude. If I'm the NCAA, I go like, f that, and just like stagger a game, like make it a 5:30 start time, or like the NFL. I feel like they've tried taking over so much. Like you've seen it with like Christmas in the NBA, but I feel like, and if I'm college football, this is what I would do. I would go to the NFL. I would say, hey, we are pretty much like your minor league organization. Every other professional league has a minor league organizations that they actually have to pay. You don't have to pay or invest anything in your sports minor league organization. Can you give us an effing time slot on like Saturday at like 8:30 Eastern? Like, holy moly!
Even if you did Friday night, and you have like if you do Friday at, even if you did 8:30 Eastern, I know that's late, but it's going into the weekend for the Eastern people. That gives the people on the West Coast a little bit of time to get home. They might not catch the beginning of it. Centrals would be fine. Mountain would be pretty much fine. But yeah, I'd rather it be that than on a. It's just like the beginning of the week thing, and I kind of get the NCAA tournament, how that does work out that way because. But I even think they could do Friday, Sunday, but I think they keep those ones separate because of the women's. Because the women's, right, is Final Four is Friday night.
Yeah.
Championship is Sunday, and men's is Saturday, Monday. So I get the tournament a little bit more. Yeah, they should switch it for Monday, and it really doesn't need to be the 25th of January.
Yeah, no, it is interesting the way they do the scheduling, but enough complaining about the scheduling, man. We got an awesome game. We are going to get essentially the first unique champion since, I'm trying to think, like the first time Clemson won it, maybe like during the Dabo. I guess with Michigan and Ohio State, but those are two like powers, I guess, in the sense. And like Miami is like a power, but they know, if you want to even consider Miami a blue blood, no blue blood other than maybe USC has been beat up in the 21st century more than Miami. I mean, sanctions. I remember just like the butt of every joke. Brad Kaya, Georgia Tech, like fumble.
Brad Kaya.
Like and to see them back. I mean, Mario Cristobal's just done such a great job. I also saw a statistic, and I thought it was really cool. Mario Cristobal could become only the 4th head coach to win a national championship after being fired before. Can you guess the previous 3?
Okay, and he was fired at FIU. I know that for sure because I remember that because I was like, damn, that guy was kind of FIU sucks and he was kind of doing good. Ed Orgeron is
What?
one, I know for sure. Ed Orgeron is one, I know.
Orgeron is one.
Let me think for a minute. Are we counting? I don't remember. Are we counting guys who got fired in the NFL?
No, it's just college.
Okay. Ed Orgeron. I'm trying to think back some.
Okay, I'll just name it to you. So also sorry for the alarm that went off. I don't know for the listeners. I am this is an away game for me in my recording. Coming at you from, if any of In the End Zone fans listening, I'm in the End Zone studio right now. It's pretty awesome. They got a better lighting setup than my haunted apartment that flickers on and off every episode. But it is Lou Holtz was fired at Arkansas and won one at Notre Dame. And you got Orgeron. And the other one, Gene Stallings, Alabama 92. Got fired from he got fired from A&M in the 70s. Was coaching back at Alabama in the 90s. So it's been interesting.
I would have never gotten that one. I did almost say Lou Holtz, but I was like, I can't remember if he got like ever fired or he just left like the schools he was at. But I knew
Lou Holtz is a weird one. Sure. I don't mean to go too off topic, but I do think we forget how good of a coach Lou Holtz was just because he is a meme. He is like just a meme. So
he rage baits at Ryan Day now.
Yeah, rage baits, how he talks and how it's gotten worse as he's gotten older. His time on ESPN, like everything just combines. But you have Miami and you have Indiana, man. They're 7.5 point favorites right now. I kind of want to. I think Indiana's going to win, and I think they're going to win because I think the execution of Indiana is at such a high level right now, where it's like watching. Like you've made the joke about Mendoza, or I've listened to this like PFT commentator. He made a funny joke about like Mendoza being AI. Like that's how this Indiana team plays. Like they literally play like they are robots. Like they don't make mistakes. They just beat you to death. Like I don't see a world where I think they're going to need some more out of Carson Beck today. I don't see him doing enough. Not to say that they're going to get blown out, but I don't know. I was going to ask you, what is the path to Miami victory? Because I mean, they're 7.5 point favorites and they're in essentially their home stadium.
Well, I think Indiana's going to look at the Ole Miss game because that was kind of a weird game where it kind of felt like Miami was dominating. And you like look at the box score and stuff and you're like, well, geez, Ole Miss got 27 points on like, I think they ran like 45 plays. Like Ole Miss did not have the ball that much. Miami had it for the majority of the game. And I don't necessarily think they're going to be able to run it against Indiana like they were against Ole Miss to where it was like you weren't getting like 30 yards a carry or anything like that, but you're doing enough to limit their offense, obviously, because they only ran however many plays it was. But Ole Miss still got that 20. Like I think Ole Miss figured out something. I'll really say like around the middle of the third quarter, Ole Miss figured something out, and that was with Kewan Lacey basically being the decoy. Like they weren't – whatever happened to him on that long touchdown run, he injured something, and I think it was like most guys probably already injured coming into it. Like I know he had the shoulder issue and all that stuff, which is a little different than like a calf, especially for a running back. Like if your calf or something is hurt, there's not a ton – like that's one of those, you know – it's kind of like when Colt McCoy got injured in the national title against Alabama. Yeah. Like if he can't throw the ball, he really can't. Like you can't play. Like there's nothing you can do as a quarterback. but they were getting points and like kind of going down the field by basically throwing the ball. And like I said, I don't think Miami is going to be able to do, like you said, Carson Beck is going to have to make some more plays, right? Like they're not going to be able to, I don't think, run for like 8 yards average per carry or whatever it ended up being in that game. And Indiana's just so like they just aren't really mistake prone at all. Like if you look at the 2 Oregon games, the first one Oregon got a touchdown from a pick 6.
Mm-hmm.
That one the other night, I mean, they just like it looked like 2 completely different levels of competition. Like
It did.
Oregon couldn't do anything right, and I think a lot of that comes from that was Oregon mistakes too. Like you throw a pick 6, they had like what 3 turnovers in the first half, stuff like that. So, if you've watched Miami, Carson Beck has had games where he's been really good, but he's also had games where it's been like he's missing throws and that kind of stuff. And Indiana's defense capitalizes on that much more than Ole Miss as well. Or
also, does it scare you that Carson Beck seemingly hasn't gone to a single class this year? Did you see that?
No, because like when I was a kid, Matt Leinart in his last year took like ballroom dancing. That was like his only class and like his last semester. So and I get why it like annoys people because they're like, what the hell? They're supposed to be in school. But like, you also have to think about it too is
don't look at Ashton Genty's schedule. You might see a lot of onlines.
Yeah, you might see a lot of that's a new thing too. Like there's a lot more online stuff now, which to be fair, I think a lot of times that you have to take those if you're like a high profile athlete.
Oh, I mean,
if you're going through
if
school,
you're in a lecture hall, it's a distraction. I get if there's like specialized classes, maybe groups of like classes of like 30 for like above kids. But I mean, you look at Jeremiah Smith, the stories of him, it's like, yeah, he can't go to the grocery store in Columbus. Like he can't walk around campus. Like it's just like, and he's not an upperclassman.
Right. And secondly, they have all the materials and study aids and all this stuff to graduate in 4 years. And a lot of guys still redshirt their first year. So what do you think they're doing by years 5 and in Carson Beck's case 6? Like they're not, it's not like they're in, like you'll have some guys who, and they'll say it like, okay, so-and-so's like, for example, and I don't think a lot of people understand it, like in this spring, if you graduate, you can still transfer. There's not a transfer portal, but if you can transfer if you're a grad transfer. So like if you graduate this spring, you can be like, okay, I'm going like to this place. I'm going to go play here. And a lot of the guys take summer classes because they're in wherever they are for summer workouts and stuff. So they get their schooling done. So like I get it's like weird to be like, okay, yeah, Carson Beck isn't in school or anything, but that's because he's graduated. It's not because like like there's nothing else for no more classes for him really to take. So they take electives to like stay eligible. Like that is going to happen when you don't play for a year, but still have 4 years that you can play football. So it didn't really bother me all that much. I mean, like, are we seriously not past the point anymore where people don't realize that like schooling is not as important?
I honestly found it more. So I found it more interesting that like my jokingly is more of like a funny way where it's like, damn, you couldn't have been. And I think Carson Beck will get drafted. I think he's done enough to go on day 3. I think he'll have potentially a fine NFL career as like one of those guys that just plays for a while. But like, I do find it funny. It's like, damn, you're only taking like cultural anthropology and like, and you're not like a Heisman candidate. Like, I think that's what I was like thinking about more. But
yeah, no, that part's more fair.
It is the thing with Miami though. And I feel like I'm just been on repeat, and we've been on repeat with these episodes. But the path to Miami has always been just the defense getting after it. It always has been that defensive line and the linebackers swarming like they do, getting pressure on the quarterback. The issue is with Indiana's style and their talent. Indiana runs a lot of RPO, So, and Mendoza executes it flawlessly. And the fact that like Indiana is okay with Mendoza, it's like the rare case if they have a Heisman quarterback, they are okay with him going like 10 for 13 for 110 yards and
Well,
like no
and
touchdowns. Like they are
to be fair,
completely
too,
okay with that.
I think it kind of came. You kind of saw it, like I said in that Ole Miss game. I think the Miami defense is really good on like that defensive line. Like that defensive line is great, but there are also like if you behind that defensive line, they struggle a little bit. Like you
No,
saw,
the DB struggle.
like you saw even with that long Keywan Lacey touchdown, he got to the second level and there wasn't really much pushback. Once he on that play, he did get to the second level. You saw it with the passing game. Like Daquan Wright had a big game against them. Like they lose people in, which is like fine. Like it's they're not. I'm not saying they're bad in the secondary, but they're not like they definitely rely on that defensive line to get pressure. And there are times, to be fair, that Mendoza I think struggles. Not struggles, but like his pocket awareness probably needs to get a little bit better, and that's something he'll probably struggle with when he gets drafted by most likely the Raiders. Like I think everyone thinks that's who the Raiders are going to take, and that's not a knock. That's just there's certain stuff every quarterback has to work on. Like nobody's perfect, so it will be interesting to see what they scheme up defensively to try to get pressure on him and maybe force him into a couple bad throws and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't know. I just look at it. I'm like, I think Indiana has the better quarterback, probably the better coach, and I don't think it's a stretch to say that they have a better overall defense. Like you don't
No,
have
it's
like the
crazy. No,
bane on Indiana's defense, but they are really good.
Indiana gets after it. I mean, that corner, I forget his name. He's like the guy, one of the JMU guys. He's like 170 pounds, 5'8". But I forget his name, but he's been a beast this year, man. And I think, like you said, Indiana, I think Miami, you're going to have to sell out to stop something from Indiana and then be like, you know what? It's just our guy versus their guy. And like, our guy's got to have the better chance. I don't think you can, with the way Indiana's offense goes, I think if there is a path for Miami to win, it is going like, you know what? Like, we are going to like play like to stop the pass. Like, we are going to drop a lot of guys back. And it's like, D-line, you got to win your battles. Like, you got to win your battles to stop the run. Or it's the opposite, where they go, hey, man, we're loading the box. I personally, I wouldn't do that against a Heisman winning quarterback. I would go with the latter and maybe not.
And he is like
and the guy who doesn't make
very
mistakes.
good at, like, and you see it, and it always kind of annoys me, and I get it's just for people to get like interactions and stuff like that. But I mean, shoot, you even see it with like a perfect example, and you know it well. Like, it's almost like they're always trying to compare. So, like someone like Mendoza who makes great throws, does everything you could possibly want as a quarterback. They try to find something that he doesn't do, quote unquote, well, and like hone in on. Like you see it like this weekend. And I understand Josh Allen had a couple turnovers. That last interception wasn't even really his fault. Like Brandon Cook should have caught that ball. But like even with him or like Brock Purdy, it's like they could honestly. I'm like was thinking about it Friday night, and I'm like, even if one of those guys were to win the Super Bowl this year, right? Like Purdy, Allen, and you're gonna have a non-Mahomes or Brady or whoever this year. The first thing people would go to, I guarantee you, on Monday would be like, oh, like would Josh Allen or whoever wins the Super Bowl, would they have won if Patrick Mahomes had been in the play? Like
would they have won? Like, look, I hate the Seahawks, but it's like if they win, you already know, because I'm going to feed this conversation. It's like, oh, Trent Dilfer of the like Darnold Dilfer. Sam, oh my God, I'm gonna start using that term. Oh my gosh. Sam Dilfer. Oh, we just struck gold. We just did that out. Sam Dilfer. But
what's that? Yeah, and I even saw it and like what's to say? Sean McDermott got fired today, which like part of me gets, but and like people do it to I'm blanking on the 49ers coach right now. I must call him Sean
Shanahan.
McVay. Yeah, Mike Shanahan, Mike Shanahan,
Kyle.
right?
Kyle.
Kyle Shanahan. Mike's his dad.
Son of Mike,
They
yes.
do it. They do it even to him. It's like, goddamn, the dude got a team who, like, I swear to God, I think I saw a thing on Twitter or somewhere the other day that said like every single one of their linebackers was like a waiver pickup or
Yeah.
a practice squad guy. It's like at a certain point, there's not much you can do. Like, and they did it to Cristobal for forever, and like we made fun of him because he has made some boneheaded like decisions, but
Yeah, but what I would also
it's like
say is
almost
that
like
I don't think we ever called for Cristobal to be fired from Miami. I just liked making fun of his bonehead decisions.
Yeah, and that's fair. Like and there are boneheaded like things that players and coaches and all that they all do stupid stuff sometimes. But I just hope whoever wins this game, they don't immediately jump in. Like if it's Indiana, I don't want to see them immediately jump into, oh, is this the greatest team of all time? Or like
They will.
did they only win because they have so many like older guys? Like that's a way to build a team. Sorry, like that's a way to build a team.
Like that's why I also hate the narrative, man. It's and honestly, like I know you're an SEC guy. It's because there's not like a true blue blood team and the blue blood team that is in is like the bad boys. Like it's the team that no one really likes. Like I guarantee you, if it was Indiana versus LSU right now, people would be talking about this game like it's the fucking game of the century. I guarantee you. Like, and I'm not. And I don't know if you saw what Paul Feinbaum said, and it really just makes me sick, honestly. Like to say, oh, you are the main college football analyst on the biggest sports network in the world, and you cover, sorry, Big Ten, what historically has been the best football conference of the last 25 years. We'll see if it changes now with NIL. But for the last 25 years, honestly, you can make an argument probably since the Les Miles championship, right? The SEC has been the best conference by far. And for him to say, oh, it's a cute little story, but we're like locked in on like the divisional rounds. Like, are you kidding me, man? Like, it's just stuff it reeks of elitism. It reeks of, it's so obvious there is an agenda and a narrative. And you're not being, and he's not being, it's very, I don't mean to go Jay Billis, but it's being disingenuous. I don't like that. And look, I don't agree with a lot of college football pundits out there. Like, but you can tell the guys who actually like believe what they're saying versus guys that like, oh, I'm going to say this because it's going to make me more money or make my network happy or grow my following or give my video X amount of views. I don't know. I just found that comment. It sickened me.
Yeah, and you see it a lot of times with, and he's one of the worst ones about it. But I agree with you. I hate when it's like that, hating on who's in a championship game. Like whether, like even this year,
it's the ratings bros. It's the rate. I hate the ratings bros. It's like, oh, bro, like lowest viewed NBA final. Oh, this is going to be I guarantee you're going to see a tweet in this week about viewership of the last 15 national championships. I guarantee you.
Oh, shoot, they did it. They've done it for the past however many years because in the NHL, you've had teams like Florida and Tampa and Vegas making and winning the Stanley Cup. And it's like, why does it doesn't have to be like the Rangers or the Montreal Canadiens or like you have all these different teams. And just because like a team is in perfect example, are there more 49ers fans in California than Sharks fans and more Giants fans? Of course there are. Like, I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, no.
Hey, Sharks when the Sharks start winning, you just wait. I've always said, sorry to go off on a tangent, the Sharks are the only team in the entire country that shifts from small market to big market depending on how good they are.
Yeah, but the thing is, that is how most teams, like people always think that they have these like, oh my God, our fan base is the best in the world. We're always here no matter. No, you're not. No, you're not. Nobody is. They go in. I'm sorry, even in the big market ones like LA, you know who's not at freaking Rams games when they're terrible? People from LA. You know who's not at
Kings games.
whatever Kings games? People from LA. You know who's and people. I'm not saying they don't have good fans and stuff, but I'm also not saying like, you know what? If I lived in New York and I was a Jets fan and they were the last game of the season was at home and they're 3 and whatever, I don't care to go. Like, what do I seriously gain out of going? Like, oh, let me go and prove that I like my shitty team. Like, no, you don't have to go and do that. Like, that's fine. But yeah, you're right. They are like ratings bros and like helmet nerds. It's like
the ratings
it's
bros.
It's got to be.
We need
these guys in the Super Bowl.
Mass deletion of all their accounts.
I'm completely fine with
Zach. You got a prediction on the Natty?
I do. Hey Zooch, how are you?
What up?
So I can't hear you, but I'm doing well. I've been shitting on Indiana all year. I'm not going to do it now. They proved me wrong. I'm going to go 31-21 Indiana.
31-21 Indiana.
I like that pick.
Here. Fair enough. That was the next thing I was going to ask you is, it's a 7.5 spread, right? Do you think, because I assume you have Indiana winning, right?
So when I originally when we originally did our whole thing, I had Miami in the national title playing. I had Miami versus Alabama, and I think I had Bama winning. So I'm going to stick with that side of the bracket and go Indiana. But I did have I am happy I wish I would have been wrong last week and Ole Miss would have won, obviously. But I'm going Indiana. They just seem like they're just on a roll and not that Miami doesn't have confidence, and Miami's on a roll too. It's just they have the 2 losses, and Indiana's unbeaten.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's not like Indiana. I think Indiana looks on like they're on much more of a roll because of that, and also because they killed Alabama. They killed Oregon, right? And Miami had the goal line stand against A&M. Ohio State was relatively close. That Ole Miss game, they score in the last 15 seconds or so to win that one. So theirs have looked closer. But that doesn't mean I don't know. Maybe they were playing the harder teams to get here. I am picking Indiana, but I think it'll be under that 8.5 or 7.5 points.
It's 7.5 now. They changed it. I don't know if that's a betting thing or Vegas sees like a trend in like how the players.
I think it's going to lean towards like a 24-21 type game. Like I do think it'll be close. I hope it's close, but we'll see.
So I think Miami's going to cover, but I think this is going to be one of those games that it almost a la Notre Dame, Ohio State last year, where it's like, but like. For the majority of the game, it's like, man, Ohio State is really in it. But then unlike Indiana, unlike that Ohio State team was purely just off, like they were so talented and like so explosive and frankly better than everyone. But like they were prone to a lot of mistakes. Where this all said and done, like you're going to see the amount of guys that get drafted off his team and go like, holy shit, like 10 guys on this team playing in the NFL right now.
Right.
I see a big game from Surratt tonight because of what you said about, if Miami's D line can't get to him, I think Mendoza's going to be able to wing it. I do see a big game from Surratt. I have Indiana. I think they score. Honestly, I think that gets into the 30s. I think this tails, in my opinion, more to the tune of like a 38-28, 31 game, where like Miami gets some BS TDs at the end. Malachi Toney maybe makes an incredible play. But honestly, we will see Indiana win a national championship, which will just be like that. Just saying that was the craziest thing. I mean,
it proves that. And we can use it to kind of transition into the transfer portal and stuff like that. But to me, it's made when we say that it would be this year would have been Ohio State and Georgia again or whoever, what we mean by that is not those teams as they are now, right? Like Georgia would have different players than Georgia has now if it was still pre-transfer portal and NIL and stuff like that. Same thing for Ohio State. they would be super deep, have, their third string linebacker would be some 5-star who is probably going to go to the NFL, like all that kind of stuff. And this transfer portal and NIL and stuff has
It's thinned out the
given
talent.
it's thinned out the talent.
It's spread it out.
And
It's
someone like
spread it out.
Indiana, who, I mean, my God, if I had told you when you started school at Boise State, or if someone had told me, hey, you know what? Before there's going to be a 12-team playoff here in the next few years.
Okay, I can believe that.
And you'd be like, okay.
All right.
And one G5 team is going to get in every year.
Okay, sure. All right, yeah.
And then I said, and before Boise State wins a playoff game, Indiana is going to play in a national championship game as a 8.5-point favorite, a double-digit favorite. I'd be like, all right, you lost me.
You'd be like, sir, you need to leave this bar. I think you've been overserved.
I'd be like, yeah, okay. Like if someone told me that at a party freshman year, I'd be like, all right, like I thought this guy was cool at first. He seemed like he knows ball, and he seems like a Midwestern weirdo now. So.
You would probably talk to all your friends, and you probably give him a name like Ivan Indiana or something, and then like you just be one of those characters like just you see him around, you'd be like, hey, how about Indiana? And you just get them on tangents and stuff. Yeah, I can totally. You laugh about it with your friends. It's like, dude, there's that effing guy who just keeps talking about Indiana football for some godforsaken reason. And
I'm just going to look up real quick, and then we can get to our transfer portal stuff. Okay. I'm just going to go. I had no idea Cam Cameron was a coach at Indiana, by the way, a former NFL coach. But they've had since 2000, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 losing seasons since the turn of the century. And they are playing in the national. That is like, and I think college football people like know it, like people like us, but like for outsiders, I don't.
It's a crazier story than people realize.
Yeah, like they were truly, or like no one ever even, like the only time you would ever see when I was a kid, Indiana on TV might be like when the Big Ten used to have that early morning, like that 10 or 11 o'clock time slot on ESPN, where it'd be like, you get like Indiana versus Minnesota. And you're like, okay,
yeah.
Like, who gives a shit about this game? Like, get me to something else. But I mean, it's a great story. And like I mentioned last week, it's going to be funny because if they win tonight and keep doing what they're doing, Kurt Cignetti's going to go from like beloved and like, oh, he's so funny. Like, look at his reactions and stuff to like, oh, he's a dick. Like, he's an ass.
He's going to get Sabanified. He's going to get Sabanified.
Like he's going to be a victim of his own success because they build you up to tear you down. That's just the truth. And especially in like sports, that's what they do. So, but yeah, transfer portal.
Here's another truth for you, man. Not a lot of players are finding homes in the portal. And we've been calling out for a couple of years, man, and the grass is not always greener. I don't know. I saw a tweet from Josh Pate today, and I was already wanted to kind of talk about this because I don't think we've really had a chance. We've been talking about more of like what's happening in the transfer portal rather than the idea of it itself. And I feel like this is a good time to kind of spend 5 minutes to kind of want to get this off my chest because Josh Pate, in his tweet, he goes, I'm talking to multiple GMs in college football, and he says dozens of examples of players in the portal asking if they can return to their team only to discover their spot has been filled. It's not the players who are forced into the portal, but rather than players who are listening to terrible advice from jackals posing as agents. That's just hilarious use of the term jackal, by the way. I've been raising the red flag on this for years. The first year it came out, and I've seen it where it's like, one, players are getting bad advice from agents, really bad advice from agents, and it's because in college football there's no agent limit fee. So an agent can take 20%, 25% rather than.
Did you know Jaden Daniels' mom is one of the player agents?
That's weird to me. Like that. Yeah. I don't like. That's weird to me. Unless she's an agent, like and you saw what happened with Nico. And look, maybe she's like a certified agent, and like then I'll eat the crow on my words. I don't. It's becoming weird to me, and I think people are finally starting to see the downside of this, and you can see it even with players that find homes. Like people laugh at the guy from Cal, Devin Brown, the guy who was at Ohio State, then went to Cal, and is now at Eastern Tennessee or whatever. It's like,
he just transferred again.
And it's like, I just feel for the guy because it's like, at some point you have to ask yourself, is being a backup at Ohio State for 4 years going to set yourself up better in life than, I guess I played, I finally was able to start at Eastern Tennessee, and then like a school like Wake Forest gave me like a year to play. And like, I guess you played 2 years of college football, but it's like, at what point, like, you're not going to the NFL? And I think that's what people aren't really taking into consideration. Like, everyone talks about like, oh man, college football's getting ruined. These kids don't care about like the jerseys like anymore. Like, they're just going for the paycheck. Well, that also works opposite wise. Like, the players that stick around longer, and even honestly, if you transfer once, if you did good things at that school, I think fans will still be like, okay, like, you're awesome. But if you stay all 4 years and are an okay player, you people joke, but like, you can rule that campus. Like, going back as an alumni, using those connections, like, it goes both ways in terms of like, oh, players don't care about the schools. Schools and fan bases aren't going to give a shit about these players. Like, even the ones who do really well for 1 year, like, we see it with our favorite teams. Like, yeah, I love some of the transfers that have come in at Boise State and Cal, right? Typically, my favorite players have been guys that have stayed longer than 1 year, right?
Right.
Like, you see it with Ole Miss too. Like, I mean, I think Trinidad is a different example because he did come from a D2 and he was a true grad transfer, right? Not like as much of a portal, but I don't know. That's just a spiel I've wanted to get out there. I've been raising and ringing the bell on this for years now, that people are still citing their eyes are getting more and more open to the fact that people, like, players are really screwing up their futures, I think. And you have to really, really make sure that it is the best choice for you to enter the portal. I think people think it's like a willy-nilly thing, and hopefully players don't think that, because it's not. Like, you could really screw up your future if you play the portal wrong.
Yeah, well, and you too, like, and a lot of it still has to do with money, right? Like, Kewan Lacey got paid quite a bit to stay in Oxford. But he also, like, will now, like, he's going to be playing there next year. He's going to, like, the amount of love for him going into after next year, because he'll go to the NFL after next year, is going to be like 100 times what the love for Quinshon Juggins is ever going to be there, right? And I'm not saying even Quinshon Juggins made the wrong choice to go to Ohio State. He won a national title, got drafted in the second round, was doing real good for the Browns until he got hurt. But there is some truth to the, like, oh, like, the money's not everything, right? And two, to go along with that, bad advice and stuff like that is these agents get paid a percentage of what deal they get you to sign at the respective school. So, of course, they're going to tell you, like, oh, yeah, so-and-so entered the portal. This school needs a quarterback, and they're willing to pay X amount of money. Okay, that doesn't mean they're going to take you.
Yep.
Secondly, like, and you've seen it now with what's the Washington quarterback's name? I cannot think of his name off the top of my head. Desmond Williams. Demond Williams. You're seeing teams too with these guys, and you're seeing it right now at Ole Miss, and I don't know how it's going to work out with Princewell, Monmielen.
And you're seeing it at Duke with Mensa too.
Yeah, there is a huge difference between, and teams are fighting back, and I think they probably should. Like, if you sign a contract, right, you have to, like, some part of you, and I don't know how it's going to work out with those different guys, but you have to, like, has to be held to that, because you would want the school to be held to that same contract and the terms that say they're going to pay you, right? Like, hey, Damon Williams, we're paying you $4 million this year. There's no, like, I'm trying to, like, incentives to, like, get, like, 30 touchdowns. It's just $4 million. That is the contract. You could, throw 25 interceptions and we still got to pay it to you. They would still hold the school to that contract. So these agents, before these guys sign these deals, and I think a lot of the agents are like, oh yeah, sign it, because they get paid from it, right? Okay, well, you're going to be held to that now. And someone that, like, maybe they're like, oh no, like, it's especially more so the ones that are the revenue sharing ones, because that is with the school itself. Like, I think people get confused between now NIL and the revenue sharing, and they're not technically the same thing. Like, there is a difference in them. Like, the revenue sharing is a school sharing revenue that it made from that sport with you. NIL is you doing a Raising Cane's ad, right? Like, you could say, like, okay, no, like, I'm going to go to this school. And there's not really, like, you just didn't. It's kind of similar, I would feel like, to signing, like, a deal with the studio to do a movie. And then you're like, oh, no, I don't want to do it. There's not really much. They can't, like, force you to do the movie at that point. Like, you can't force someone to be in a commercial or whatever. So, yeah, we're going to see in the future if more guys are, like, not entering the portal and stuff like that, because someone needs to come in on these schools. And I get they're young and have a bunch of people with bad advice in their ear, especially as it pertains to money. But the schools need to have someone on staff. I would almost, like, consider, and I know you don't really want agents around schools, or used to not want them, because people think agents are all crooked and dirty, and some of them are, but they're also necessary. They also really, like, they handle stuff players don't and most people don't understand. Like, an NFL agent usually has, like, a law degree and understands, like, contract law.
I think that's the main thing. It's like these, like, we keep using the term agents. A lot of these guys, sure, a lot of them are signing with agencies, but in a lot of the cases, it's just like some guy. Like, I think that's also the big thing. Like, it's like the NFL and pro sports, like, it's a very rigid process of, like, who can be your agent. And, like, this is just like, you could be my agent if I wanted to.
No, like, hold on. I want to see, because I brought it up earlier. Okay, so yeah, his mom is a certified NFLPA agent, but
all right, eat the crow there, Wilde. I'm eating the crow.
But even still, like, so she is Prince Well's agent, and he signed a revenue sharing agreement with Ole Miss, and there's been no one really knows the exact buyout. LSU has said it's like 350. Ole Miss says it's 550, and there's really been no clear, like, what's going to happen. Like, the Ole Miss people are saying it's like 50-50 that he stays, but regardless, they're holding him to. They, like, won't release him for the transfer portal, which I think is fair. Like, the guy signed a contract. Now, I mean, could that infect the locker room and all that kind of stuff? Maybe, but I also don't think it's the wisest decision to be a cancer type person in your locker room when you're wanting to go to the NFL, because there's a lot of stuff that people never hear, like the general public never hears about, with, like, players and why some guys might drop in the NFL and stuff, because there's before people got paid in college, right? It wasn't, if somebody was bad for the locker room, were you invested in them? Yeah, sure. Like, they're going to school for free. Like, they're taking up a roster spot. The NFL, you're paying them millions of dollars. Like, you are heavily investing in players X, Y, and Z. So you might not want to draft them if you hear, like, oh, they did this and they did this. Like, you'd be like, if we sign this guy to this X amount of money guaranteed contract and he acts the same way, then I could lose my job, right? If you're the GM or whatever. So we'll see. I mean, I know people want changes to the transfer portal. Like we talked about it the other night, the G5 people want multi-year deals, which
I think
has
smart.
good and bad. Like, I
That's
mean,
true. If you sign a guy who's not good, then it's like, ooh, because you
well,
also kind of got to make a call after their freshman to be like, yo, let's lock it down. But like, if you're trying to lock down a freshman that maybe was like a special teamer or a situational guy or like a number 2 quarterback, then it's like you're taking risks.
if
Good and bad.
imagine how the fan base would feel right now if after the 2024 season for Boise State, if they had signed Madsen to a 2-year X amount of money guaranteed contract, because you got to pay him even so, like that's part of it too. Like, and I think what along with those lines and stuff, because people freak out about the transfer portal and like, oh my God, we lost this guy, and this guy. These teams are still on a budget, and it kind of is similar. It's like a yearly, everyone is on year-to-year contracts, right? So if you look, like you're a Giants fan, right? And they, like, I don't remember if they were the even or odd years, but they won in like 2013, 2015, and 2017, or whatever it was, or the even years in between those when they won those 3 World Series titles. They had their stars, right? The guy like Buster Posey was a star. Like Tim Lincecum was a star, at least at the beginning of it. They had that kind of stuff. But people have to think about these contracts as the guys on those teams who maybe the team was really good and this guy was like a middle reliever or the 4th starting pitcher or whatever it is who had a good season, which dictated that in free agency, because that's what this is, other teams would come in and be like, oh, well, we have an extra X amount of money we can give you. So that's a lot of the reasons teams lose these guys, as they, no matter what any team says, they are on a budget. I know everyone wants to be the big dick in the room and be like, oh, well, we can spend 90 million on our roster. We can spend 150. Like,
still a $90 million budget.
Yeah, like people, there are schools who are going to pay more, but there is a limit to how much somebody will pay, like a team, like pay you to field a team. So I think people need to like look at it as like like it's a business. Like that's just what it is, and you're not going to be able to pay like I saw some Ole Miss fans freaking out that LSU got, and Winnie Watkins was always going there, but they got a lineman who is slate like he had re-signed. I don't think he signed a monetary agreement. They might get Princewell, and they got TJ Daugherty. So I always looked at it as like, well, you know what? I saw TJ Daugherty getting like pushed around by Miami a few days ago. I'd rather him be going to LSU than like at first when Lane Kiffin left, and I think a lot of it's just for people to like have something to talk about. Lane Kiffin leaves, he's, and like I don't like fault him for it. I think he's been like that's what Lane Kiffin has always been. Like we've talked about it before. Everywhere he goes, it ends horribly. And like we've said, like, oh, at first you're like, oh well, Al Davis is kind of a dick too, so maybe that was just Al Davis being Al Davis. And then you're like, all right, he kind of did Tennessee dirty, but USC is his dream job. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's 2. Then he gets fired on the tarmac, and you're like, oh, that's like kind of a crappy thing to do to somebody. Like, you couldn't wait till you got back to the facilities to do that. Saban fires him, and you're like, oh, come on, like, why'd you fire him like in the middle of a playoff run? Like this, you knew he was leaving, let him coach out. Then you have, I think this one though has really kind of shifted like the view on him and to where people are like, okay, like, you know what? It's maybe it wasn't these guys the whole time. Like maybe like you're the recurring theme and these breakups. It's like you're not the victim on this.
If everyone, I think there's always a common denominator when everyone else is the problem. In life, that's not good. Like, and then when everything else is the problem, it's usually not the case. Usually it's one, like you said, common denominator.
A single denominator. So, and I think he'll do good at LSU. I think it'll probably end horribly. That's just kind of what,
for LSU, you just gotta hope it ends horribly after like a national championship, though. Like wins a natty, and then like 3 years after, it just blows up.
Yeah, that's and it's great. Like it's a great job. Like obviously, he thought he deserved a job like that, where they're this national, and that's fine. I'm not like faulting him for that. Like, but at the end of the day, because I've seen a lot of like LSU and Ole Miss back and forth banter, and Ole Miss fans are mad that those guys went to LSU. I think LSU fans are a little disappointed that like Lacey's not going there and Caleb Odom's not going there and Trinidad. I think at the beginning of it, they thought, oh, we're gonna raid the roster of all those good guys, and they're all gonna be LSU Tigers. So now it's kind of transformed more into we're spending $40 million on a roster, which is great, good for LSU. You know what that means though? You better not, with that great roster, go 9-3 like you did last season at Ole Miss, where you had a great defense and scored 20 points against Kentucky and Florida and all these bad teams. So, and then but Ole Miss does it. And that's what I've disagreed with Ole Miss fans about, is they are mad that he's trying to use very gray area tactics to get Ole Miss players. Ole Miss just did the same thing to get that linebacker that went from Cal to Clemson, and he's coming to Ole Miss now. So they're doing that's part of the game now. It's not like my issue with Lane Kiffin is not that he has done that kind of stuff, like use gray area tactics. That's fine. My issue is more so to all right, bro, stop acting like you're the victim here.
Fair enough.
We know you're a little bit jealous that they got as far as they did. We saw that when you wouldn't let the coaches keep coaching and stuff. It's fine. You're jealous. You're mad that people said mean shit to you online and all that. So
I'm sorry. I'm looking at one of my lists already. And
the funniest, and then we can get to the list. I am still laughing at the crash out by the 247 guy.
Oh, yeah.
Because I would read his stuff sometimes, and I'd be like, because it's on the 247 thing, and I use that to read BSU articles mostly, but I go to the Ole Miss one more so in this time span where you can see oh, this guy's visiting, that guy's visiting, that kind of stuff. They're real good at that. But some of his articles would be they were called his 5 thoughts or something. And this dude would always act like it was the hardest job in the world to cover a team. I went to Oklahoma City to cover the Ole Miss Oklahoma game. And he's a big Thunder fan. I love watching the Thunder. So I just stayed here and decided to fly from Oklahoma City to Glendale. And it's would be talking about how tired he was, and then include what he ate and what his hotel was like. And I would be sitting there thinking, dude, you got to drive he lives in Arkansas, from Arkansas to Oklahoma City, watch an NBA game, watch a college basketball game, and then you flew and covered a semifinal football game. You're not in freaking Yemen covering a brutal war or something like that. And you see that sometimes with these writers, and I think a lot of it, like you said, is they just get trapped in this bubble of reading mean things people say to them and disagreements with people have with them. So yeah, he snapped on Ole Miss fans, which is just not smart. When your whole career right now is covering Ole Miss athletics, it's probably not the best thing to attack paying subscribers that your salary on the internet because the Oklahoma City Thunder lost. But yeah, the list had oh my god, the list was
all right. Yeah, we'll get into the last list of the year. But wow, or at least last college football list of the year. I mean, there's not I had a couple. As always, the list is us bringing what we see on our social media, whether we agree or we don't agree. We're just bringing it to you guys. I got one, and it's actually a baseball list, and it is at Liam Fennessy, and he said this is the Iranian nuclear weapon site, and it is a Google image screenshot of Dodger Stadium. This was posted after the Kyle Tucker news. So Liam list.
I really, honest to God, didn't have that many college ones. However,
you're gonna let the clip rip with CJ Stroud. I already know you have some CJ Stroud ones.
Well, my first Ghetto Gronk has some great ones. The first one was Sean Payton immediately after finding out that Bo Nix broke his ankle, and it's just that video of Sean Payton with the frat boys hitting the ball.
With the ball. Yeah.
Which, you know what a dick to film that. Like, I hate that.
Yeah. That would be funny. My next one comes from at MTVS The World, and he just goes, I just bet the under on CJ Stroud interceptions, and this dude just threw a Doritos Locos taco in the first quarter.
Yeah, CJ Stroud had a rough one. I have
Doritos Locos taco.
This one from I did that one last week. Damn it. I put the wrong one on here. Okay, I had this. This is the one I had. This is another NFL one. It is a quote tweet of Embassy of Israel to USA, and it just says, Ravens head coach John Harbaugh, we have Israel's back. And it's just a picture of him with I don't know who this guy in here with them is. It's not Benjamin Netanyahu, I know that, but it's someone who has something to do with Israel. And a Bills fan just said, yeah, he a war criminal. Okay. Come on.
My next one comes from at Hank Roofy Williams, or at Hank Roofy White, Ole Miss burner account. He said, hope y'all can't even blame me for throwing up to you. # finished in my pants. And it is a video, it is a picture of him throwing up the U with a certain film star who has been seen at Miami Dames, maybe rhymes with Mabella Manger. I don't know who this person is that he's taking a picture with. But people on the internet seem to know who he is. So Hank White list.
There were some, oh my God, it's been really good. It also is like sometimes you just got to get off. This one from NFL memes, and I know you remember. I think this is one of those moments people just remember when it happened if they're a sports fan because they were watching, and it was funny in the time. Not the person getting injured, but it's Lane Kiffin watching Ole Miss's season end, and it's just a video of Drake when Kevin Durant got hurt in the NBA Finals, or just like, okay, that's good.
That's fun. What a good year, man, dude. We got the Natty in a couple hours. We will be posting a reaction show this week. Then after that reaction show, we're going to take a little bit of time off so you won't get the weekly or bi-weekly episodes. But probably around March is when we're going to start we'll dabble a little bit in basketball. And as we say every year, basketball, we are not the brightest. It's all vibes with college basketball. I'm picking Houston again if they're a top 3 seed. Like that's just what's like. I was talking to my roommates about it. Like I think I've dug myself into a hole with Houston, Zach, in the NCAA tournament. That is my basketball teaser because they're good again this year, man. They're good again, and they might be like a 2 seed in like one of the brackets. And I'm gonna have to choose them again.
We'll see. We love the NCAA tournament, especially that first weekend. Weather starts getting kind of nice. You can do a little day drinking while everyone is like this. Look, like their bracket shit has changed on the bracket app, and you always have the person after the first game. It's like the freaking. Actually, I hate the first game always being an 8-9 seed because I swear to God they pick the one that you have like legitimate. It's always like I don't even know, like Missouri versus who's like a mediocre Big Ten team. It's like Missouri versus
Northwestern,
Iowa or something like that. And you're like, well, maybe Iowa in this one. Like it's whoever I pick always loses that game. And I'm already eliminated from having the perfect bracket like by the time the 116 or whoever's next starts. But yeah, everyone enjoy the game. We'll come back with some of our like early top 10 projections, and we just want to see like how all this portal stuff shakes out, who declares, all that kind of stuff, and go from there.
Yeah, but as always, we appreciated it this year, guys. Take care. We'll see you guys this week for a national championship reaction show. Later.